You can't live in my house without paying rent. If you don't contribute, pack your bags now, said my stepfather, while my mother nodded beside him. I responded calmly, fine, but you will be the ones packing your bags. Then I handed them some papers. I tasted the sweetness of revenge when I saw the surprise on their faces. Welcome to the channel Revenge Stories. If you're enjoying this story, subscribe to the channel and like the video to hear more stories. Hi, I'm Emma, and my story began when I was just 7 years old. My father died unexpectedly of a heart attack. I was so young that my memories are fragmented, but I clearly remember the day they took him to the hospital and he never came home. My mother, Barbara, was devastated, but she started to recover quickly. Just a month after my father's death, she introduced me to George, her new partner. As a child, I was intrigued by this rapid change in our lives. I also remember the constant fights between my mother and my paternal grandparents. Looking back, I realize these conflicts might have been related to what happened between my parents. George became my stepfather when I was 8. I was always a quiet child and didn't cause trouble, but my life changed drastically in a year. My mother stopped caring about me and directed all her energy to her new relationship. I can say many things about George, but in short, he was not a loving stepfather. He constantly reminded me that he was doing me a favor by taking care of me, while my mother blindly supported him without realizing how neglectful he was towards me. I was forgotten and neglected by my mother, but I managed to get through thanks to my grandmother Chica. My mother and George were not nice people. They liked to have fun and left me to take care of myself. I spent more than 10 years in a house where I was neither loved nor wanted. When I was about to turn 18, my mother and stepfather sat me down for a serious conversation. Emma, you need to start looking for a job. We are no longer going to support you for free, they said. I was perplexed. Why can't I find a job now, when I have final exams in a few months? That's your problem, Emma. I have taken care of you for 10 years and I won't do it anymore, said my mother coldly. They were selling the house and moving to a bigger place. As soon as we move, you will have to start paying rent at least until you finish school, they demanded. This is really unfair, Mom. Do you agree with this? I asked incredulously. You will soon turn 18. Now it's your turn to take care of yourself and contribute to this family. George is right, we have taken care of you enough, my mother affirmed, supporting George's decision. The news hit me hard and I didn't know what to do. I asked them to at least let me finish school, but they were inflexible. If you don't pay rent, you will have to leave, they threatened. I was frustrated and afraid for my future. I called my grandmother and broke down, looking for a way to take care of myself and build my future, even if it was difficult. Leave soon, said my grandmother. Also, do you know who their real estate agent is? No, Grandma, why do you need to know about their real estate agent? Then send me his name or phone number. I agreed to do what my grandmother wanted. I told her I would try to get that information. Outside my stepfather's house, I had no idea what she was doing, but I was willing to trust her and do what she wanted. I started working and, in a short time, managed to find out the name of George's real estate agent. I sent my grandmother his name and phone number. After researching on Google, my grandmother called me a few days later. He really called me and said to come over since he wanted to discuss something serious. I had no idea what he meant, but I went anyway. I knew there was a chance he would tell me something about George's house, and I was right. When I arrived, my grandmother told me she had contacted my stepfather's real estate agent. Why did you want his phone number? Well, I called him to know the price of George's house. Did you find out how much he is asking? It's a decent amount. He wants to sell the house quickly, so he's willing to lower the price a bit more if he gets the funds immediately. What do you think, Emma? What do I think about what, Grandma? What do you think about buying the house for yourself? I was surprised by her words. I didn't know why she was asking me about buying a house. I hadn't even finished high school and didn't have a regular job. All the money I spent was on my personal hygiene products. My savings were around $100 that I had hidden from my family and myself. I couldn't even imagine buying a trailer, let alone a big house like my stepfather's. At first, I thought my grandmother was just joking with me, but her expression told me she was serious. I told her, "I don't know what you're talking about, Grandma. The house is very nice, and you even love it. I've seen many houses for sale and I can guarantee this house won't stay on the market for long. If you buy it now, you can sell it for a higher price. Even though you don't plan to stay in this house for long, the price is quite affordable. Your grandmother says the cost is low and you can afford to buy it." "Emma, what do you mean by that? I'm just a high school student. Where am I going to get the money? I only have $200 to my name." "Well, soon you'll have much more." "That's impossible, Grandma. I'm not going to win the lottery in a few days." "Maybe not, Emma, but you'll have access to your trust fund when you turn 18. This was completely new information to me. I had no idea what a trust fund was. As far as I knew, my father and grandfather hadn't left me anything. My father apparently left everything to my mother, and my grandfathers will only mention my grandmother. So I didn't understand why my grandmother was talking about a trust fund. Confused, I asked, "What's a trust fund, Grandma?" "I set up a trust fund for you. Your father and grandfather left a legacy for you," she replied. I didn't know anything about this, I told her. My mom always told me I didn't receive anything in the wills. "That's not true. You have 2 significant trust funds waiting for you when you turn 18, my grandmother said. I was so surprised I couldn't believe it. My mother had always claimed that I hadn't received anything from them, just some sentimental items with no value. "Well, she lied to you, dear," said my grandmother. She then explained some details about those trust funds, and there was a substantial amount of money. She didn't tell me the exact amount because she thought it should be kept private, but assured me the money would prepare me well for life. These funds were under my grandmother's control because neither my grandfather nor my father trusted my mother enough to leave her in control. I was stunned to discover the magnitude of what was hidden. The only question lingering in my mind was why my mother had lied to me about my inheritance. "I think she did it to hide it from you, so she could access that money and take it without you noticing," said my grandmother. "Oh God, that makes so much sense. That's why she never wanted to talk about finances with me and always avoided my questions about what Dad had left me," I responded. "Your father was a smart man. He would never leave you helpless. I wish you had known him when you were older. You two would have had a great connection. He loved you very much. He stayed in that marriage just so you wouldn't grow up in a broken environment," my grandmother commented. My heart felt heavy hearing about my father. I regretted not having known him more. Although I knew he loved me a lot, I would have liked to have more time with him. My mother, after marrying my stepfather, forgot about me. Hearing these stories about my father really saddened me. I wish I had had more time with him, Grandma. I don't know why God took him so soon. Maybe if he were alive, I wouldn't feel so alone and neglected. It's all destiny, dear. I know you haven't had the best life because of your mother, but now you have the chance to improve things for yourself and even seek some revenge," said my grandmother. "How do I do that?" I asked. "You don't understand. I'm telling you to buy George's house. He's been threatening to throw you out, right? Buying the house will allow you to have a property and an investment. Plus, you could use it as a way of revenge," my grandmother explained. At that moment, I realized that buying the house would be an excellent idea. George was offering a good price, and I knew it was a great opportunity with the low prices. The possibility of getting some revenge also motivated me. "Let's do it. I want to buy the house. Investing in property is never a bad idea, and I can't pass up this chance to get some revenge," I said with determination. "Good decision, Emma. If you're determined, I'll talk to the agent and negotiate for a few days. When you turn 18, we'll open a personal bank account for you and transfer all the money there. It won't be hard for you to buy a house when you're older. Also, make sure to ask the agent to keep our identity secret. I don't want George to find out about our plans. I know he just wants to sell the house and move on, but I don't want the agent to talk too much," my grandmother advised. "Of course, Grandma. I'll make sure it's kept secret," I replied. Then I went back home. I couldn't buy the house immediately because I hadn't turned 18 yet, so we had to wait a bit before making the final purchase. Only a week remained until my birthday, so I didn't have to wait long. My grandmother took care of talking directly with the real estate agent and George's lawyer, so I didn't have to be present at all the meetings. Meanwhile, my stepfather was in a very good mood, and he and my mother were busy with their own affairs. While they were talking about the imminent sale of the house and the profits they would make, George mentioned that he had already found an interested buyer. He was delighted, as they didn't know I was the buyer. One day, as I passed by their room, I heard their conversation about how they would soon become rich. Barbara, my agent, confirmed that the sale would be finalized soon, and I felt excited. George mentioned that it had been a long time since our last vacation and that we should plan something special with the money. I told him that I wasn't going to use the money to pay off my credit cards because I had a different plan. I asked for a bit of patience, as Emma would soon turn 18 and access her trust fund. I already had a joint account with her, which would allow me to withdraw the money and transfer it to our name before she realized what was happening. We planned to use those funds to pay off our debts and acquire a better house. Additionally, Emma would be contributing to the rent, which would give us extra income. George was excited and couldn't wait for that moment to come. I never imagined my mother could be so dishonest. Despite knowing she wasn't the best mother, I hadn't foreseen she would be capable of planning something as vile as stealing from me. I realized my mother planned to use my money to pay off her debts and George's. Although I had a bank account with her due to my age, my grandmother advised me to open a new account when I turned 18. My mother never mentioned the inheritance I received from my father and grandfather. Upon hearing my mother and George's cruel plan, I locked myself in my room and cried a lot. Deep down, I tried to console myself thinking my mother wasn't that bad, but that night I understood she didn't deserve to be a mother. I stopped questioning our relationship shortly before turning 18, accepting that we would never have a meaningful relationship. So, when I turned 18 and signed the documents to acquire George's house, I felt relieved. Within a week, we would close the deal completely, and I could call it my house. I celebrated this new chapter with a small party with my grandmother. Buying the house was just the beginning. I had more plans for after acquiring the property. I didn't tell my mother or George anything. They celebrated their sale by going out to dinner at a fancy restaurant, but they didn't bring me anything. When they returned home after their outings, they told me they were disappointed in me. George insisted I find a job to contribute to the rent and expenses. I explained that I had no intention of looking for a job because my final exams were near. George insisted I had to get a job because they couldn't keep supporting me. He reminded me I had to pay for rent and utilities. However, when they told me I wouldn't be able to live in their house and that I had to move with them, I laughed. They were surprised by my reaction. George was furious and asked why I was laughing. I replied that it was absurd for him to claim the house was still his when he had already sold it. George tried to say that despite everything, I would go with them to the new house, but I told him I wouldn't move with them. He said I had no other option, but I reminded him this house was mine, showing the documents. My mother and George's faces were filled with disbelief as they saw the proof of ownership. My mother, unable to believe what she was seeing, asked how it was possible. "Where did you get the money? You'll be glad to know I finally accessed the trust fund that Dad and Grandpa left me." "Yes, the trust fund you hid from me because you intended to steal it before I found out I was entitled to it." "I don't know what you're talking about, Emma. I would never do something like that to my own daughter. Don't try to act like you care." "Mom, I know for certain you don't care about me at all. You only care about your partner and your luxurious lifestyle." "That's not true, Emma. I'm very happy for you. You bought a house at such a young age, it's incredible." My mother was trying to get back on my good side because she knew she had been caught, and I was furious with her. George remained silent, unable to believe he had lost his house to an 18-year-old, and not just any 18-year-old, but his stepdaughter whom he hated. My mother kept telling me how great it was that I bought the house, and then she added that now we could pay off George's credit card debt and stay in the house too. "Mom, wait a moment. Who said you two would stay in this house? This is the least you can do for us, Emma. We took care of you for 10 years. Barbara, why should I? Both of you rushed to tell me to get a job and pay rent. We took care of you for 10 years, Emma. The least you can do is let us stay in our house. You keep forgetting that now it's my house. George and I thought you had already signed papers saying you would move with my mother within a month after the sale. So start packing because I don't think you can afford a legal battle with me. What kind of behavior is this, Emma? How can you do this to your own parents? You had no problem ignoring me and depriving me for years and even planned to steal my inheritance. If you can't be a good mother, why should I be a good daughter? I made a mistake, Emma. I'm so sorry. We'll be better from now on. I promise we won't hold a grudge and we'll start a new chapter in our lives. My mother cried, but I must confess I wasn't moved. As soon as I could, I kicked them out of my house. Instead of enjoying a luxurious vacation, they had to struggle to find another place to live with the little money they got from the house sale. Without my financial support, they remained deep in debt because they didn't want to give up their extravagant lifestyle. I am very grateful that my father and grandfather left me a trust fund. That means I can go to college without debt. I don't plan to go too far because I have to take care of my grandmother. She didn't abandon me when I needed her, and I feel it's my duty to be by her side as long as she needs me. Her health is rapidly deteriorating, so I know she doesn't have much time left. I plan to cherish our last days together and create many good memories. Thank you for listening to my story until here. I would love to hear your opinion. Leave your comment below, share your impressions, and subscribe to the channel. Like the video so you don't miss the upcoming stories.